Welcome to my web quest. I have entitled it Building a Government, and basically the premise is I'm going to get students to collaborate together and make a constitution that they would propose to Egypt, being that they've had all these problems with all these regime changes recently. So the driving question behind my project was, how can we as a U.S. envoy come together and present to Egypt, keeping their interests and society in mind, a viable constitution to help them create the foundation for a stable state. So here you guys can see the introduction page, and I've given a little bit of history on what's going on in Egypt. There's a 2-minute video just giving them some background information. And at the bottom I kind of make it exciting. I tell them that they've been chosen as a special elite US task force. You see I have it highlighted in red, and you'll see that throughout the presentation. I've kind of color coded. Links are going to be in blue, important information will be in green, and keywords will be in red. So I do that way, to keep students consistent and they know exactly what they're looking for. So for the task section, I made it really simple. I just put a couple of pictures on the side. The Egyptian people taking part in an election, and then the U.S. government symbol, and I just kind of restated what I mentioned in the introduction, but here I kind of give them an objective. You can see I have them laid out 1 through 4. 1, understand the challenges of forming a government. 2, defend your reasoning. 3, critically think and design a constitution. And 4, be able to present it to your classmates. At the bottom I kind of gave them a brief outline of what the roles are going to be consisting of, and so we can move on. Now for the process stage, this is where I got significantly more detailed. So I have a picture of the Egyptian flag just to kind of make the content more relatable to the student. I mentioned again what they're going to be doing really quickly, and then I bullet point exactly what they should be doing. So they're going to, first I tell them that what the group is going to consist of. Then I tell them that they'll be working in pairs to create some legislation. And you can see in red I have outlined what must be included in their constitution. So there's the role of government and then a government framework. Those are 2 musts that they have to address. So keep scrolling down. You see again here in green, for example, I've kind of told them you have to use a Google document, and I've told them to click here for more information on Google Docs. So if you do that, it'll take the students to a brief YouTube video that I've created just on how to use a Google Doc, just to get students to become more familiar with the process. So it's my idea that the way I've set up the process, students will know exactly what they have to be doing in the exact stage, and it's in chronological order, and I expect them to blog about their experiences, to create something on their Google Doc with their partner, and at the very end they're going to present kind of like a commercial or an advertisement proposing their constitution to the rest of the class. And I have further information on here because I don't want it to be too cluttered, so if students click here, they'll be taken to a different page, which if you look over to the left is not on the task bar over here, and it just gives them more in detail information on what their presentation should look like. Just to help students, I've also included a link to a Prezi in case students aren't familiar with how they work. They can go there and overview the tutorial. So here toward the bottom, you see I tell the students to be creative, to go into depth on the material and think what they want to be in their constitution, and then I tell them or direct them to click here to find out more about their roles. I just put that down there to give them some, make it easier, make it more streamlined, but the roles tab is on right underneath the references process. So here you'll see how I've laid this out. I have 3 roles: 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, and 2 anthropologists. So 1 anthropologist will work with 1 legislator. I've outlined what each person will be doing, and then I've given them their own set of references. So under each tab, each heading, Republican, Democrat, and anthropologist, you can see here that I've told them to click here for more information. So once the student clicks there, they'll be directed to a different page that's also not on the left-hand processes, and it'll give them direct links to what they should be looking at. Now, I purposely included some partisan links here because I want the student to take on the role of that person. So I want them to take the Constitution on from that party's perspective. So I've given them 5 links and then some directions on what to do. So each role will have their own reference page. But if you look to the side, I've also included a group reference page, so we'll go there now. This group reference page is kind of just to give students kind of a foundation of what they should be looking for. I've included different political theorists, so if we click on one, for example, it'll give students information about Aristotle and what his ideas on political life should be like. If you go back, there's a few YouTube videos I've incorporated. Now, these resources are for all students to use, just to give them some information, background information, what they want to create. This is what this is. The other websites, references that I've included for them personally are to get them to, become their role. And this is just background information that they're going to be using when they're drafting their Constitution. Now, the evaluation page, what I've done is I've underlined and highlighted keywords in each of the columns. That way students know what I'm looking for in order for them to obtain 10 points, for example, under the roles column. I have 8 listed, and on the side in red I have, whether it's a qualitative thing that I'm looking for or something more in terms of quantitative material. For the conclusion, I congratulate them. I put a picture of President Obama there on the side because remember the idea was that they were legislators and they were asked by their government to create something. So I'm not saying that the president was, thanking them, but having his picture on the side there might give the students that impression. So then I used Chunju and I, made a little cartoon. You are here, done, relaxing. But there's more. Here, the PS in green, I have a alternative, kind of a student's opinion, and it's a Google form, so we'll go there now. On this Google form, I've asked students to look at the Arab Spring, and I've incorporated the elements of technological influences in it. So I'm asking for their opinions to discuss the role of social media in the Arab Spring, so they'd have to do some research on their own, to discuss whether they think it was a driving force or whether it could have happened without social media. I just want students' perspectives, so I thought this was a nice little activity for students to take part in. And finally, the teacher page. Again, you see the green highlighting, just to, that way teachers see exactly, some of the key elements. 11th grade or 12th grade government classes or U.S. history should take about 3 to 4 weeks to complete. I've given them that much time because I understand this project is very internet intensive. They have to use the internet a lot. Some students may not have the resources, so I want to make sure that they all have the time to get together and work on it and not have to feel pressured or rushed to get this done. I really want this to be well thought out. My personal reflection, thinking, I like the way it's laid out because it involves critical thinking. It involves students to analyze, evaluate, and collaborate, and then eventually create something of their own. I have my contact information, and I put a QR code with my digital business card, and at the bottom I address some of the course standards and the ISTE net standards. So hope you guys like my web quest. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you all.